10 inventions, 1 century. Each one changed something so fundamental about daily life that the world before it and the world after it barely resemble each other. Some of the people behind these you know, some you almost certainly don't. This is the list. In the 10th place, beneath the empty stands of Stagfield, a stack of graphite and uranium bricks changed history. On December 2nd, 1942, Enrico Fermi and 48 others watched from a balcony as George Weil slowly pulled the cadmium control rod. At 3:25 p.m., the neutron counter surged. The world's first controlled, self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction was underway. Minutes later, the reaction was stopped by hand. A coded telegram flashed to Washington. The message read, "The Italian navigator has landed in the New World. Chicago Pile 1 unleashed the nuclear age, powering both cities and weapons. Every reactor since traces its lineage to that hidden squash court. The consequences were energy, fear, and a new global balance. They began in that quiet makeshift lab. Subscribe for the next breakthrough." Number 9. In a dim London darkroom in May 1952, Rosalind Franklin exposed a strand of DNA to X-rays. The result, photo 51, captured the sharp X pattern that revealed life's code was a helix. Weeks later, Maurice Wilkins showed this image to James Watson without Franklin's consent. Watson's sketch, made on the spot, became the missing clue for the model he and Francis Crick would announce in April 1953. The double helix changed biology forever, but Franklin's name was missing when the Nobel Prize was awarded in 1962. Her notebooks and the chain of custody remain in the King's College archives. The debate over credit and recognition still echoes. Franklin's full story is coming in a future episode. Subscribe for more breakthroughs. 8th place. On December 23, 1947, in a Bell Labs lab, crowded with wires and coffee cups, John Bardeen, Walter Brattain, and William Shockley pressed a fingertip-sized slab of germanium and heard a crackle of amplified sound. The point contact transistor worked. Their patent, filed weeks later, described a device smaller than a postage stamp that could switch and amplify signals. No filaments, no vacuum, no fragile glass. The world's radios, computers, and telephones would never be the same. Today, the number is staggering. About 13 sextillion transistors have been manufactured, more than all the grains of sand on Earth. Every smartphone, every microchip, every digital heartbeat traces back to that benchtop experiment. The transistor's quiet revolution made the electronic age portable, affordable, and nearly invisible. Number 7. In 1952, polio stalked the United States. In April 1955, Jonas Salk stood before the cameras and announced a vaccine that worked. Cases in the United States plummeted from nearly 29,000 in 1955 to under 6,000 just 2 years later. When asked who owned the patent, Salk answered simply, "Well, the people, I would say. There is no patent. Could you patent the sun?" By refusing to profit, he turned down billions in royalty. Subscribe for the next breakthrough. Number 6. In September 1928, Alexander Fleming returned to his cluttered London lab and spotted something odd. A petri dish left out by an open window. A stray mold, Penicillium notatum, had killed the surrounding Staphylococcus bacteria, leaving a clear halo. Fleming's notebook entry from September 28th records the moment, a simple observation that would change medicine forever. The true power of penicillin emerged a decade later. when high urgency pushed the British Ministry of Supply to scale up, reaching 127,000 litres a month by 1944. Penicillin moved from a forgotten dish to the front lines of World War II, transforming once deadly infections into treatable conditions. Modern estimates credit penicillin with saving between 150 million and 200 million lives, a number so vast it defies imagination, even as experts debate the exact figure. Number 5. In 1946, a machine the size of a classroom flickered to life at the University of Pennsylvania. ENIAC, 27 tons of wires, dials, and 18,000 glowing vacuum tubes, could process 5,000 operations per second, a speed that stunned its builders. Today, a smartphone fits in your pocket and executes 15 trillion operations per second, a leap so vast it collapses the distance between science fiction and daily life. But the roots of this digital universe run deeper. In 1936, Alan Turing described the universal machine, a blueprint for all computation. Turing's genius powered wartime code breaking, but in peacetime, he was prosecuted for his identity, denied the recognition he deserved. His 2013 royal pardon came decades too late. The legacy of ENIAC and Turing is everywhere, from medical research to lunar navigation computers. The cost of lost genius still echoes. The next invention would ride their logic all the way to the moon. Subscribe for the next breakthrough. Number 4. On July 20th, 1969, the world stood still as Neil Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface and spoke words broadcast to every continent. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. An estimated 600 million people watched live, the largest simultaneous audience in history at that point. The grainy black and white images, relayed by a Westinghouse camera, cut through the static of Cold War rivalry and midnight living rooms from Moscow to Montana. But this spectacle was only possible because of the staggering scale behind it. Nearly 400,000 engineers, technicians, and workers powered the Apollo program, each piece of the mission a triumph of collective effort. For 30 tense seconds, the world's attention was united, and the impossible became real. The moon landing remains the ultimate demonstration of what humanity can achieve when imagination, technology, and willpower converge. Subscribe for the next breakthrough. Coming to the top 3, the internet began with a glitch. On October 29th, 1969, at UCLA, Charlie Klein sat at a terminal and tried to log into a distant computer at Stanford. He typed the letters L and O, and then the system crashed. The first message ever sent across ARPANET was just 2 letters, LO. That moment, recorded at 10:30 p.m. UTC in the interface message processor log, marked the birth of digital networking. 4 university nodes formed the original backbone, but the scale exploded. Today, the world's internet traffic tops 4.5 exabytes every single day, millions of times more than all the books ever written. What started as a 2-letter hiccup now pulses through every device, every second, everywhere. The internet is invisible, relentless, and ongoing, an infrastructure so vast it has become the nervous system of modern life. The story of global connectivity is still being written. Subscribe for the next breakthrough. Number 2. On September 7th, 1927, in a cramped San Francisco lab, a 21-year-old farm boy named Philo Farnsworth drew a straight line on a glass slide, aimed his new image dissector at it, and watched the signal flicker onto a cathode ray tube. The moment the line appeared, Farnsworth shouted, "The damned thing works!" That was a declaration that launched the electronic television era. While engineers and investors stared in disbelief, the world's first fully electronic transmission had just taken place, outpacing the clunky spinning discs of mechanical systems. Farnsworth filed US patent 1,773,980 that same year, but his victory was far from secure. RCA, led by David Sarnoff, spent trying to claim credit. The legal war ended in 1947, with RCA paying Farnsworth $1 million settlement and royalties, but by then, his name was fading as television sets poured into living rooms under corporate banners. Television became the global stage, shaping news, culture, and daily ritual for billions. Yet, the man who made it possible spent his last years in obscurity. The struggle for recognition behind the screen echoes, setting the stage for the invention that would take humanity from living rooms to the sky. Subscribe for the next breakthrough. And finally, in first place, every journey starts on that beach, Kitty Hawk, December 17th, 1903. Two bicycle mechanics, Orville and Wilbur Wright, had just 12 seconds and a stretch of wind-swept sand. The flyer lifted, carrying Orville for 120 feet. John T. Daniels, a local lifesaver, pressed the camera shutter at the exact moment. Their entire budget was about $1,000. Newspapers shrugged, calling the flight too short to matter. But the logbook records the fact. 12 seconds shattered the limits of distance and possibility. Today, the number is almost unimaginable. Nearly 4.5 billion airline passengers circle the globe each year. The world before flight was bounded by oceans and continents. The world after is a network of cities. Every red eye, every reunion owes its existence to that cold December morning. The most universal change, mass mobility, began with a single, doubted hop. The full story of the Wrights, their secret notebooks, and the race for the skies is coming in a future episode. Subscribe for more breakthroughs. Across all 10 breakthrough moments, one pattern stands out. The world doesn't shift gradually. It lurches. Each invention forged a new reality, often by outsiders and overlooked minds. Even now, humanity's future hinges on the next leap. History changes in an instant. Subscribe for more stories that break the mold.